I can't even face my grandpa. He would be so ashamed. And I'm sorry. No, absolutely not.
All right, if I gave you a drug test, this is file number 25843FY, People versus Jayla Marie Stollard. That's you?
Yes.
You're here with your lawyer, Rhonda Ives. Also present is Assistant Prosecuting Attorney Angelique Camfield.
This isn't just another petty theft case. It's about betrayal, remorse, and a shocking confession caught on video. A veteran's granddaughter accused of stealing from heroes, and the judge isn't holding back.
This matter was set for sentencing today, and I spent quite a bit of time on this case yesterday, trying to understand it. The defendant was originally charged with larceny in a building, which is a felony punishable by up to 4 years of imprisonment, and charged with embezzlement by an agent or trustee less than $200. Let's look at the original complaint. Yes, as a second habitual offender. She had a minor drug charge in circuit court here in San Joe County in 2018. The felony charge of larceny of a building was dismissed, and the defendant pled to the embezzlement less than $200. Now the affidavit, and then I got the police report after the defendant entered a plea, indicates that these thefts took place in several different ways. Taking money out of the cash register, both the Legion's cash register and the lottery, Michigan Lottery's cash register. Some other money envelopes that came up missing, and someone entered the building with a key and went in the back door and stole money out of a jar that was on the counter, which appeared to be, it was alleged to be about $400. Ms. Stallard acknowledged to me that she took the money out of the cash register, but specifically denied entering the building and taking the jar of money. So I wanted to get the video that the officers had, and with the help of the prosecutor's staff, I got it and I was able to review it. So the restitution agreed amount is $1,020.
I think it's $1,250.
That is
Okay.
correct, Your Honor.
All right.
And if I may also note for the record, Your Honor, there is a representative of the Legion here that would like to briefly address the court.
I see the gentleman here. They've been here through each hearing, and we'll certainly hear from them before we finish. Ms. Ives, you indicated your client wanted to change her representation of the court.
I think that she's had a lot of time to think about her statement. She's been rather sick to her stomach over her last statement because she wasn't truthful, and it's really bothered her. I told her she'd be able to address the court and tell the court her feelings.
All right. Give me a second here. You guys have seen it, but that shows of someone pulling up in a car, coming out in a white jacket and jeans and boots, and using a key to go into the building. Then you see an arm with the same white coat take the jar full of money, empty it of money, and put it back. And she specifically denied doing that when I took her plea, but now she acknowledges that she did take that.
That surveillance footage changes everything. The same white jacket, the same movements. Undeniable. What started as a minor embezzlement plea just turned into a full-blown credibility disaster. What will the judge believe now?
So, Ms. Ives, where does that leave us?
Well, Your Honor, my client has indicated that she has felt horribly guilty. She has not had any legal problems for a number of years. She is ashamed of her behavior, especially because her grandfather is a veteran, and so it's impacted her significantly. She's willing to do probation. She's willing to pay the $1,250 back. She just recently got some gainful employment in Angola. She'd like an opportunity to get the restitution paid. She's hoping the court would suspend a jail sentence and allow her an opportunity to get this paid back. And she would just like to extend her deepest remorse for her behavior.
Ms. Stallard, what would you like to tell me?
I can't even face my grandpa. He would be so ashamed. And I'm sorry. And I'm just sorry.
I was seriously contemplating just giving you 93 days in jail for admitting to part of this and lying about the rest of it. It was going to become an issue of whether it was you and who else took anything, and you're acknowledging that you took all of it. It isn't true that you haven't had other problems. You were charged with retail fraud last November from the Walmart store. You've never paid the fine. You got defaulted on a retail fraud charge and you didn't pay it. We sent it to the 9 Mile Road address in Union City. So you were stealing stuff in November of 24. This is in December of 24. You had methamphetamine in your past, and the question always becomes, is that still what's going on here? Is that what's driving the bus?
When the judge orders a surprise drug test mid-hearing, you know the tension's real. But here's the question, is this about theft, addiction, or something deeper driving her choices? What do you think?
No, absolutely not.
Or if I gave you a drug test today, what would it show?
Just marijuana.
All right. Autumn, I'd like to do a urine test on this defendant before we finish to see whether I'm dealing with methamphetamine. Embezzlement is, people often downplay it. I've seen cases that offend my sensibilities. Someone in Kalamazoo embezzled $100,000 from the Little League and they got probation. Somebody embezzled $350,000 from one of the Upjohn heirs, they got probation. Same lady embezzled $18,000 from the 4-H here in St. Joe County and went to jail. Embezzlement is different than theft. It's a betrayal of trust. You're placed in a position of trust and you violate the trust by stealing from the person that entrusted you. And it almost always happens more than once. So in this case, you stole from your employer multiple times, multiple ways. And I don't know how somehow that's better than just stealing a bottle of liquor from the liquor aisle at Myers. It's worse. It's a repeated violation of trust. And there were probably 6 or 7 different types of theft here over different days. Pocketing cash, taking the envelopes, stealing this money jar and then lying about it, saying I'm sorry, doesn't quite get it. So I don't know what drove you to go in there that night and steal that jar. That's why I'm asking about methamphetamine. Because something was driving your bus. What was going on?
It was Christmas time and I was just struggling, and my kids, and I got them back in my life, and my grandson, and it was a stupid decision. And I mean, I'm doing way better than I've ever done in my life, and my kids are back in my life, and
Where are you living in Angola?
no, and how at the moment,
All right.
because I was, like I said, I was trying to go to Missouri, but
And at some point you can.
Right.
Are you aware of that retail fraud ticket?
I didn't even know about that.
Well, the
So
officers gave you a ticket.
no, I don't remember ever getting a ticket for retail fraud.
Seth
Oh, it was a
Chester.
trespassing ticket is what
No, it was a retail fraud ticket.
what?
And we sent you information regarding pleading to the ticket, and you never responded, so they entered a default.
My mail's been not coming to me. It's been going to the old address, and they're not. I didn't know that.
Well, first of all, they cut you a break by not charging it as a misdemeanor. They charged it as a civil
Right.
infraction. You also got some traffic tickets, which you haven't paid either.
Yes, like I said, I just started at Jed's Barbecue, that place I was telling you about, and that's my goal, is to get everything paid off.
Well, all right. This is Autumn Kiefer. She's from the probation department, and she's going to take you back in the lockup with the bailiff. We're going to do a urine sample. Go with her. How we doing?
So she is on 2 medications. One that could potentially throw a false positive for methamphetamine. It's for an ADHD medication. She does admit to the marijuana use, which she is positive for. She's also positive for methamphetamine, amphetamine. There's a very faint line for oxy, and buprenorphine is positive as well.
All right. Thank you. So we are dealing with methamphetamine, which is often the
No.
pink elephant in the room. So you're denying that you're...
Yes, I am not on methamphetamine. I'm not.
All right.
What are your, she is,
Concerta and Zoloft is what I take.
Okay. Well, it's too late to do a test at the day
I
reporting
mean, I have
center.
my prescriptions. They're just not with me.
So we'll see. You lied to me about the other stuff,
Right.
and now you're telling me this, so I don't know what to believe and what not to believe. Buprenorphine, what's that about?
I asked her what that was, and she said that that's mental health medicine.
No, it's not. It's a opioid blocker that people take.
That's my gabapentin, and I have a prescription for that as well. I've been taking that at night to sleep.
Well, we'll find out what we got. So, all right, I have a suspicion that there's an underlying drug addiction issue, which is compelling this behavior, particularly the theft of a big jar of money. So having said all that, Ms. Camfield, you're new to the staff here, but you've had a chance to look at this and you've had plenty of prosecution experience. What's your thought here?
Well, Your Honor, I would also like to hear from the representative, but as
Yeah,
far as,
well, let's do that first. We'll let
Yes,
who's
thank
going to
you.
speak on behalf of Allegiance?
Yes. I'll stand up.
Good afternoon, sir. Of course, I know you, but would you state your name for the record, please?
William Thompson.
And what's your connection to the American Legion?
I am the past commander. I've been with the Legion for several years.
And you've been at every one of these court proceedings?
Yes,
And are you here to speak on behalf of your chapter and the members of your group?
yes, I am.
All right, what would you like the court to know?
I realize this is a small amount of money, but I hope you will realize that you have taken not only from this post, but from every veteran in the area. This post supports an honors team that does military honors at funerals from Montville to Sherwood to the middle of Kalamazoo. And there's never a charge for any of our services. Thank you, Your Honor, for allowing me to speak.
You also provide scholarships to high school students from your post as well.
No, that's the VFW.
VFW, so I've often
I also represent the VFW.
Yes, all right, so, all right, thank you. Excuse me. The Legion has been a victim of embezzlement at least 3 times since I've been here. That's been a long time. Many, many years ago, the treasurer embezzled about $10,000. And a lot of those members have passed. This was 35 years ago. Then more recently, during Doug Fisher's administration in the prosecutor's office, there was another substantial embezzlement from the Legion. This one wasn't huge, if we're talking about $1,250, but it was executed on multiple occasions in multiple ways. And as often happens, eventually it all catches up, which it did here. So, Ms. Camfield, what's your input here?
Well, Your Honor, I share the court's concern. I know oftentimes positive drug tests can be for prescription medication. However, we don't have those prescriptions with us here today. And if that was going to be a claim, I would presume that they might have been at least provided to her counsel if she knew there was a likelihood that she could be drug tested. I do also know that theft from employers often as a result of a drug concern and addiction by the defendant. So in this particular situation, I do agree with the court that I think that might be part of the driving force. I also know as a mother with children that wanting to get them holiday gifts could also be a very legitimate explanation, certainly not an excuse, but an explanation of the defendant. As she stated, she's probably being honest.
Notice how the prosecutor balances empathy with accountability, recognizing motherhood and addiction, but refusing excuses. This is where courtroom justice meets real-world struggle. Should mercy outweigh a veteran community's betrayal? Let's unpack that balance.
With respect to that, but I am concerned about her former dishonesty with the court and only wanting to come clean about the theft of the jar of money today, as she knew the court had the video, and then being dishonest about what may show up in her drug test. So I do think that probation and restitution is appropriate with respect to any potential jail. That's a tough one because you want her to be maintaining her employment to pay back the restitution. And frankly, this was an offense that affected serving members and former serving members of the community. So I think a pretty hefty community service sanction would be appropriate. In addition to perhaps some, I'll leave it to the court's discretion of whether there's any jail and it's suspended or not. But I do really feel that community service would be appropriate. If she does feel as bad as she tells the court, then she can give back to the community in a fashion that doesn't involve her handling money.
There's another factor here. Nobody's been around long enough to remember this. I was the prosecutor for a number of years before I came to the bench, and we had lots of embezzlement cases from young women. And we learned that there's a connection between childhood trauma and embezzlement. So I started a women's embezzlement treatment program, which I was very proud of. And then it expanded to men and women. It was called the Embezzlers Treatment Program. And we had check passers and embezzlers and repeat retail fraud people, but mostly embezzlers. There's a connection between embezzlement and childhood trauma that most people don't understand. I think that may be part of what's going on here too. And the program died on the vine because the circuit court never used it anymore, and I regret its passing. It was excellent, and if I had it, I'd order you into it. I'm going to do a 12-month probation, which means you could be discharged at the end of 6 months if you do a good job on it. What was the plea to? Make sure I got my notes straight.
It was an embezzlement less than $200, Your Honor.
Yeah, I wanted to make sure it was embezzlement rather than larceny. She also took care of her insurance charge when she was in here. Yes, embezzlement less than $200. That doesn't look good on a record when an employer wants to hire you and the first thing that shows up is an embezzlement. They put you on the bottom of the pile. And maybe they ought to know. I'm going to order restitution to the American Legion. The amount of $1,250. That's the paramount concern here. Probation is $480. There's a $150 attorney fee. State minimum fee of $50 and crime victims' rights fee of $75. So let's add that up. 125 plus 150 plus 480 plus 1250. $2,005. If you do this in 6 months, you could save $240. You got arrested on June 5th and you bonded out on June 6th, so you have 1 day of credit. Or the 91 days jail credit of 1, leaving 90 days to serve. Of the 90 days, 83 are deferred. You're going to jail right now for 7 days. I don't know what that's going to do to your employment. I'm going to hang the rest of this over your head. I would like to get a drug test from a proper testing service to see what's in your system. It's a condition of your probation that you not use any drugs or alcohol and take a test as directed by any probation agent. If I knew I had a drug issue, for sure, I'd put drug treatment as a component of this. Right now, you're indicating that there isn't an issue. It's legal to smoke marijuana as an adult in Michigan for recreational purposes. But while you're on this probation, you can't use marijuana or drink any alcohol, or certainly take any other controlled substances. You can take any prescriptions that are prescribed. I may ask to facilitate transporting you to the day reporting center tomorrow for a full 17 panel test to see what's in there. And then I can fashion the probation. But you've got a previous criminal record You've got a retail fraud that you've ignored. We have multiple thefts in a position of trust, and you lied to me about it and came clean today, which I do appreciate. That's a difference between 7 days and 93 days. But you deserve a jail sentence. You deserve it right now to make some impact. I'm going to check embezzler's group, see if there's some vestige of it somewhere. I don't want to go into all that on the live feed with you, but I think there's an underlying component of childhood trauma, which is in this mix as well.
I am gonna lose my job.
That's on you. That's not my fault. That's your fault.
I can't
You
make
go with the
it
court
my
officer.
job.
All right. When you get out of jail, you're going to be on probation. So you need to either come see the probation department unless they come out and see you at the jail. And I'm going to see if I can facilitate a proper full urine test tomorrow to see what we're dealing with. All right. You go with the court officer.
Stand up. Hand back.
All right. That completes our.
So in the end, a 12-month probation, $1,250 restitution, and 7 days in jail, a mix of punishment and second chance. What's your take on this ruling? Drop a comment, hit like, and subscribe for more dramatic courtroom breakdowns.
Sentence, our afternoon, and our day. Ms. Canfield, it was nice to meet you, and I'd like to get to know you more as we start to work together. For everybody else that's here, thank you for your patience.